Welcome to Cruise Nerds.
Cruise Nerds!
I'm your host, Paul.
And I'm your host, Sarah.
And we're really excited to bring you another episode. This is our third together.
I think so. Third.
Yeah,
I think we're doing good.
Yeah, woo. If you look at our podcast stream, you'll see that this is actually episode 7, which is weird. Where did all those other episodes go? And they're all the ones we recorded back in 2017 when we started Cruise Nerds, but we restarted it. So season one of Cruise Nerds is 5 years long.
That's amazing.
We should decide how to call season 2. Maybe season 2 will be in the new year or something.
Season 2, I like that.
Yeah.
Season 2 is always better than season 1.
Well, usually. Well, depends on the show, but it'll always
Catherine.
It'll just keep getting better and better here at Cruise Nerds.
Absolutely. So. Soon you'll kick me off and find somebody better. We did something fun this week. Last couple of weeks, we counted down. Well, mostly Paul's top 10 favorite cruise YouTubers, because of course YouTube has all of this content, and there's some really great people that do cruise content, and I thought we could talk about that a little bit. I tell you what, I'm excited
how I came up with these selections. If you go onto our Twitter, which is just Cruise Nerds on Twitter, you can go and see the complete list. And if you scroll through, you can get a link to all their YouTube channels, and you can see all the cool people we found. So,
and you should do that, by the way.
Yeah, it was awesome. And if you can, subscribe to our YouTube channel too. That would be great. But,
do that too.
But you don't have to do that. But please do. And click like and subscribe. Oh, we already said.
I know you're bored. You got nothing better to do with your time.
And if you don't know how the YouTubes works, you don't have to pay when you subscribe. You can just click the button. And
this is true. This is what I do.
It's magic. And then next time we have a video, it just magically will appear. Yeah. And if you click the little bell, it'll actually give you a notification. It'll tell you. So Paul and Sarah have a new episode. Oh,
it's almost unbelievable.
Actually, something.
All right, let's get to it.
Well, before that, actually, I just thought of this. In between our episodes here, I went to the first Canadian cruise ship to come into Canada.
And which one was it, Paul?
It was the Koningsdam.
Uh-huh.
Does that one sound familiar to you, Sarah?
It sure does. That's the one we're going on.
When you're going
Not
on.
together.
No.
Not us.
You and your significant other.
Yeah.
We went down there. We didn't go. They had a big grand opening because this is a big deal. This is the first time a Canadian cruise ship with passengers has arrived in Canada since the start of the pandemic. And so it was a really big deal. And of course, Canada's been, more safety conscious than a lot of other countries, including the US. And it took a while for them to feel comfortable allowing this to happen. And there's still lots of protocols and stuff involved in coming on shore and all that good stuff. But all the passengers, I think, have to be vaccinated on those cruises that come to Canada, and some rules and stuff around that. I think most of the cruise lines actually require that now anyway, because it's worked
I believe so.
Yeah, Carnival Cruise Line, their brand ambassador actually came out a couple days ago and basically said, we're not planning on changing that, even if the CDC says we can. And I'm not even sure the CDC has any ruling on that, but even if the CDC says we can allow unvaccinated passengers, we're not necessarily going to rush to let them back on, because even though they've had COVID since the cruise restart, they haven't had hospitalizations at all. As I understand, like not a single COVID passenger has ended up in the hospital, which is almost unheard of. And you think of how many people have cruised in that period, right? And so they say it's because, and other people could disagree, but they say it's because the success of the program of only allowing vaccinated passengers. So that'll change over time, but for now, that's how that works. So how did I get on that segue? We're talking about the Koningsdam.
So
I'm glad you remembered because I didn't.
It arrived in Canada, and my wife and I went and took some photos, and there's a few up on our Instagram, and if you go to our YouTube, there's a video of a very windy day. It was a crazy windy day. We've got, I think, Captain Winter saw his shadow, and we had like an extra 2 months of winter this year. I don't know exactly how that works, but anyway, it's.
But did you get to go on the ship?
We did not, of course, because it's you know, so many safety rules and stuff like that, and we're not special enough yet. Maybe when we're more celebrity level, we'll be able to go on
yeah.
the cruise. They'll be like, oh, Paul and Sarah, we got to get them on. That'll be awesome. Be like, hey, everybody, look at us. But no, we got to see it, and what's great too is you can get pretty close to the ships when you go down to the Victoria cruise ship terminal, and so we got some great photos. Actually, I didn't get good photos. My wife, who is an actual photographer, got great photos. So we're pretty excited about that. And yeah, so that's news. Canada had a cruise ship, and we had a couple since, and actually I think it was today that the first one was arriving on the East Coast in Charlotte.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, so the cruising industry is alive. Maybe there's hope. Maybe they won't all end up going bankrupt, and we can continue to enjoy this form of vacation that we all love. Anyway, we will see. But in the meantime, for fun, after that last show, because we've talked on a couple of our shows about different other YouTubers that we like to follow.
Yeah.
And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a top 10 list of all of the coolest YouTubers?
I am super excited to find out what your top 10 are.
Because you don't use Twitter. So number 10.
This is true.
Sorry. Number 10 there's actually a fairly new one. They're called Life with the Allens, and it's a couple, the Allen couple, Allen.
Cute.
And they travel everywhere, and they do these really fun videos, and it's pretty new, and I definitely encourage you to check it out. I think they might have even had, I think it was around 1,000 subscribers, which is of course way more than we have, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not a huge channel. So so I wanted to mention them. They're really great. My number 9 choice was Tips for Travelers, and it's a gentleman named Gary Bembridge, who actually interacted with us on Twitter, and he's great. He actually posts content on Twitter. A lot of YouTubers don't. They'll post YouTube, and they'll post Instagram, maybe some people are TikTok and stuff, but there's not as many on Twitter. So I'll probably talk about the ones that are on Twitter.
That's going to be your side of things.
For sure. And you are the Instagram guru, so
I'm working on it.
So Gary from Tips for Travelers is actually a very detailed guy. He does these very detailed, descriptive reviews. Has all kinds of actually really great tips. I actually went and watched a whole bunch of his old videos I haven't seen for a while. He's got, of course, a whole bunch of new content because everything's changed with the pandemic. But yeah, really in depth, and I really appreciate that. He's not like a woo, yeah, we're having a party kind of guy outgoing, but he's, you know, a little more serious, but looks, obviously, as a guy that's having a lot of fun anyway, and just really bringing the straight goods. So yeah, definitely worth that, checking him out. JJ Cruz is another one. They're more woohoo, yeah, we're having a party. And actually, they're probably of the whole list the most extreme version of that. They've been doing group cruises, and I watched a live stream for probably longer than I should have, of them just having like the people from their group cruise coming up and being like, yeah, we're on a cruise, that's about party time, right? So a couple, yeah, and just a couple of guys having a lot of fun. So awesome. really thought they were great. The Ship Life is one you should definitely check out. So Jay, who is from The Ship Life, he actually started his channel working on the cruises. Cool. And so he has a lot of insight as to what happens behind the scenes. But since then, he's kind of changed careers, and now he's a YouTuber going on cruises. And
cool.
And so he's got both of those things going on. There's actually quite a number of people on social media that are worth following that work for cruise lines. I'm trying to remember. There's the captain of the new celebrity ship, Captain Kate, is very big on Instagram. In fact, her cat is a Sphinx, and I love Sphinxy cats.
I've seen the cat, yes.
Yep. And the cat has more followers than we do.
So can I bring my cat on the cruise? Because she likes to be with me.
I think you need a special exception, like probably a hairless cat, and being the celebrity captain.
She could be my emotional support cat.
Captain Kate is one of the most well-known captains in all of cruising, and she's actually a few years younger than me, believe it or not. So that makes me feel very unaccomplished. But and she has this great big social media following. She just looks like she's having a lot of fun, and
very cool.
Obviously very smart. Really understands all the important things that a captain needs to understand to run a ship. And she knows all that. She was one of the first female captains for the big cruise lines, because it's been historically kind of a male thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So definitely follow her. Completely unrelated though to my list, because I was focusing my list on the others. So yeah, there's a few others. I'll probably point some others out in the future episodes as well. Emma Cruz is number 6. Now, Emma is a young lady from the UK. I don't know exactly how old she is, but I'm going to guess mid to late 20s. A few of these people are actually younger. Almost everyone's younger than us, but
younger than us.
Almost everybody. I think there's a few.
Are we saying that we're old?
I'm saying that
you watch your back.
Most of the people on this list are younger than us. Well, most of these people on this list are younger than me. I don't know about you, because you're a young lady as well. Anyway, Emma Cruz is from the UK. She's really great. She gives all these very in-depth, detailed, looks like she has a lot of fun. She gives you some great money-saving tips, because I don't think she's a big spender. She recently went on a river cruise. I think I sent you that video reviewing the river cruise, because we talked about that last episode. It was a cheap or cheaper cruise line than Viking, called TUI. And so she did a review of that, which was really interesting. And so we're a little more excited now about river cruising than we were even when we spoke last time. So, big shout out to Emma. And Emma is also on Twitter and very active there. So she interacted with our tweet. I said, thanks and hello from Canada with a little Canadian flag, and she wrote back and said thanks from the UK and put little UK flags. So, yeah. Actually, Emma too. Every episode, she has a large audience, and it's mostly not UK. It's mostly English speaking elsewhere, right? And so she has a little segment in almost every video called Britishisms, where she talks about the word of the day and the British word for whatever, and how it's what it actually means. And I've known some of them. Of course, we're from Canada, so we get a little more of that than the United States, right? But
we've got our own set of words that even Americans do not understand, and terms too. Since I've done a bit of traveling, I've definitely said some things that really baffled people.
A serviette? Did you ask for a serviette at a restaurant? Excuse me.
No, I don't usually ask for a serviette.
I remember asking somebody where the washroom was in Las Vegas, and they were like, "What?"
Yes, that's very confusing.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, the restroom?" Well, I don't think you're going to do either washing or resting in this particular location.
Well, you can rest in the bathtub.
Yeah. I love how in the UK, they just straight up, they're like, toilet.
Yeah. I mean, heck, we might as well just say what we need.
Where's the toilet? I always thought that was kind of crass, but now I think it's really functional. So,
It's truly very functional.
of course, they're also the same country that came out with a water closet, which is even worse than washroom or restroom. So
yeah, that one I have to admit threw me off for a long time when I lived there.
Oh, did you live in the UK?
I lived in London for 6 months. Yeah,
I had no idea. Is it true?
No.
So do you see restrooms that have WC on the door?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, that was a big confusing thing at first when you get there and you're like, but this is not what I'm looking for.
Apparently it was such a big thing that in France, and I don't know if this is still the case, but we learned this when I was in high school growing many years ago, and that in France it was often le WC.
Oh.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was just for the British people that came over, or if they actually like everyone in France was like, WC, this is what we think of you. We're going to name our toilets after the words you gave it for it.
I cannot recall.
Did you go to France when you were there? Of course.
I did. After I was in London, I did like a Kontiki travel tour where it was like 20 countries in 30 days or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was extreme. But yeah, we were in France for 2 days or something like that.
Nice. Yeah, Catherine did. My wife did a one of those like school trips where they hop on the bus and do all the countries. So she's been to way more countries than I have as a result. But 5 minutes in each one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
You're here. France.
So number 5, and probably if you follow cruising YouTubers, you're going to know these top 5 because I picked some pretty big ones that are really great. Number 5 was Royal Caribbean Blog.
Oh, cool.
Gentleman named Matt Hochberg, and he's super knowledgeable. He's been doing, so he started as a blog and he turned that into a podcast when that was the big thing.
Fabulous.
I used to listen to his podcast religiously during my commute. It's like, hey, on my way to this work on this awful commute, I'm gonna think about cruising. Woo-hoo!
Hey, everything better.
Yeah, it was him and Cruise Radio was the other one. I can't remember the guy's name from Cruise Radio, but he has a great podcast as well. So yeah, Matt Hochberg came in as number 5 with Royal Caribbean Blog. Definitely worth checking out his channel, and he does he actually does question like live streams with different where he just takes people's questions.
Oh, cool.
And it's really great, like always really good questions and always really knowledgeable answers as well. So I've actually been making a point of watching those because we're going on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Of course.
I've been
watching the Holland America ones.
Have you? Well, this is guilty. And that's the thing, right? Is Matt is very much I'm a Royal Caribbean blog. You can find people like this too, right? There's people that like, I do Disney cruises and that's it. Or I do Carnival and that's it, right?
Of course.
They all have their fans. I like all cruises. I haven't been on every cruise line, but I've been on 5. And I think I'll try the rest at some point. But I do love Royal Caribbean as well, as you know, and of course that's what we're going on this year. So.
Would you say that's your favorite?
I think there's different aspects of favorite. So for certain things, yes. And I think part of it's just the demographic where I'm at right now in my life. So being an older gentleman.
Are we using the term gentleman?
Yes. No, being a dad of a teenager. So if you're going on with like little kids, I would go on Carnival, or if you can afford it, Disney. Those were both great when our son was little. But now that now he's a teenager, he likes the big shows and all this stuff that you can get on a Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean is like, we kind of joked last time about Holland America being the duty. But in fact, it's not. It's anybody can go. And it's a great cruise line, I think, for everybody. But I would say that Royal Caribbean's kind of mid-market. Like it's not
it's not discount and it's not super premium, and that, you know, most of the cruise lines kind of have categories that fit all of those things, right?
Of course.
There's some obviously that don't. Like I would say very likely Virgin Voyages is going to be considered upscale, and they probably don't have a lot of cheap rooms and stuff like that. And of course Disney doesn't have, there's no such thing as a cheap room on a Disney one either, right? That's a completely different category in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's snooty or anything. I would say it's just Disney. Anyway,
It's just Disney.
so yeah, so is it my favorite? It's probably my favorite right now, but
Okay.
but I would say, you know, if somebody said, hey, let's all, you know, go on a group cruise on Carnival or something, like next year I'm gonna do a group cruise on Princess. So, you know, I don't care. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm going on that one, right? Whereas I think Matt from Royal Caribbean Blog might be kind of like, I kind of know what I like, and fair enough, right? So
Yeah.
number 4 was Cruisetipstv, and that's a lady named Sherry, and actually she was one of the first that I discovered when her channel was brand new, and she talks about all these really great tips for like a whole bunch of tip videos, just really well organized. So if you're brand new to cruising and you're just trying to figure out like, how do I pack and what should I bring, and you know, all that sort of stuff, she has a great video resource for that. And of course she does reviews and all the other great content that you might expect. But I would say when it comes to like, you know, the very best tips, especially for new cruisers, Cruisetipstv is definitely one to check out.
Cool.
That's number 4, rounding out the top 3.
Top 3.
Rounding out the top 3. You're on
Cruise Nerd?
No, you gotta say it properly. You gotta say it properly. You're on
Cruise Nerd!
There we go.
Sorry, I wasn't excited enough the first time.
It's time for your top 3 countdown. All right, so number 3, I said Lalito Loca.
Oh, what a fun name.
It's a fun name, and it's super fun guy. Does like videos every single day, all sorts of news, keeps on top of it all, has turned it into a business. His wife does, I think his wife does like more of the business side, but they'll do videos together. They do Patreon
Nice.
exclusive Q&As and all sorts of stuff. Just a whole bunch of great content and super entertaining. He's just like,
cool.
He's
Very
the guy.
cool.
He's the guy that I'd mentioned to you that says he has this little catchphrase. It's like, hey, hey, hey. Almost every. It's funny. So when I was tweeting him on the top 10, I put on the tweet. I said, hey, hey, hey. It's Tony from Lalita Loca. Anyway, he liked one of our tweets, but it was funny because I thought, okay, he's got to notice that, but no, nothing. And when I went to go look at his video, his latest video, there was no hey, hey, hey. So it's like maybe he heard that I said that, and then he doesn't want to do it anymore or something. So
Didn't give you a shout out.
yeah, actually that happened also on our number 2. So on our number 2 cruise is Cruise with Ben and David. And Ben and David are a couple out of the UK.
Nice.
Super fun guys. It's so funny. Like these guys could be comedians. And they
love it.
And they play off each other. It's funny because they're a couple, but they're like so different from each other. Like
I love a good laugh.
yeah, it's
Said
really
that very seriously, by the way. I love a good laugh.
Anyway, they're on Virgin Voyages, and what's his catchphrases? Like, ahoy there, cruisers. I can't remember which one it is, Ben or David. I always mix them up. But anyway, so I went and listened to their latest one, and tweeted out a link to their latest Virgin Voyages cruise. And no ahoy there, cruisers. I was like, what's going on? All these catchphrases are missing. So anyway, I put in the tweet, ahoy there, cruisers.
Cute.
And sent them a message on their YouTube, and they now know that they were important enough to be listed on our amazing top 10 list.
They're amazing, very well known.
like one like.
With all the followers.
So
We'll get that, Paul.
well,
Okay.
we have actually quite a few followers on Twitter, but because we've had that channel since 2017,
That's true.
and so it's actually a few people on there. Anyway, our number one choice, Paul's number one choice, is Dawn from Dawn's Family Vacations. Dawn calls it Dawn's Family Vacations, even though it's just about cruises. I don't even know
Cool.
if Dawn has a family or not, but Dawn is also a travel agent, just like probably one of the hardest working guys in the space. Like he's making videos every single day. And I got to tell you, Sarah, during the height of the pandemic, when everything was doom and gloom, Dawn would make his videos every single day. And, and keep people up to date, keep the flame alight. And you know, personally, I thought, you know, the world was going to end and we'll never go on another vacation again, et cetera, you know, all the sort of you're
a very negative person, hey?
all the roller coaster of 2020. You recall it. You recall
Oh boy, do I recall
the state of the world. And and Dawn was there, kind of just keeping us all well,
that's nice.
Anyway, and actually I gotta say Ben and David did that a lot too with their channel. They just kept the content. They're like, yeah, we can't actually go cruising or anything, but we're gonna talk about it and keep you guys up to date and, you know, reminisce about old times. We joked during the pandemic that we should like turn our living room into a cruise line and set up a little buffet and anyway, we didn't do that because that's insane. But
that would have been great. I would have really enjoyed that.
That is our top 10 list.
Yay!
So check it out on Twitter. We're Cruise Nerds, and I pinned the top 10, but you can go through and see all the links to all the individual channels. I've linked to every single one, and they're really great. So go and subscribe to those 10 channels and this one, and you got, you know, your YouTube covered. And you know what? There's a ton of other great ones. When I was putting this list together, there's probably 15 or 20 other ones that I thought, oh, they could be a top 10, right? And you know, but had to make a number. Maybe we'll do top 50 next year.
Oh boy, that's a lot.
That'll be a long episode.
Like March Madness with cruise videos.
Yes, but anyway, so that is the top 10, and thank you for to all of those YouTubers and to all the honorable mentions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to start doing some more YouTubing.
It's there's a lot of content out there.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and it's actually, if you subscribe to Dawn and Lolita Loca and Ben and David, you can keep up with a lot of what's going on in the cruise world. Those guys are so on top of it all, and
very exciting.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Actually, the ship life's another one too. What's great about, as I mentioned, is he's got a good perspective because he used to work for cruise lines. So he'll interpret the news from the perspective of, you know, as somebody who used to work at a cruise line, I can tell you, this is my opinion, right? So yeah, so that's it. Goodbye. No, I'm kidding. Not goodbye.
And that's that. See you later.
I'm heading out on a cruise.
When do you leave?
Did I tell you? Very, very imminently.
Is it tomorrow?
It might be tomorrow. And it might not be too, because there is a crazy long lineup at the passports office. If you're going on a cruise.
I'm sorry. What?
No. Let me tell you the story.
Oh boy. I gotta have a drink for this.
So we planned this cruise. Well, we planned it months and months ago because we had to use up some airline credit. So we're like, we got to use this credit because otherwise it's use it or lose it, right? I won't mention which airline, but I was kind of ticked that we couldn't just keep extending it forever. But you know, they're not going to do that, and they weren't ready to refund anybody, you know, from 2020, which is a whole other thing. I'm not happy about that. But anyway, it is what it is. So we thought, okay, well, let's book a Pacific Coastal, use the flight credit. We had cruise credit too, because we were
Were you booked for a cruise when?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
pandemic hit?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We had 2
Oh.
cruises planned in 2020.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was going to be our big year for cruising.
Okay.
Anyway,
That can happen.
yeah, can't imagine why. But yeah, so we decided to book this one, and we knew it was, and we booked it like 3-4 months out, and I immediately went and checked the passports, because God only knows we've done this before, where it's like last minute. We actually had a situation where my wife, my son, and I were going to Disney in California, and she didn't notice that her passport was expiring until the day before, or has expired until the day before we left.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I said,
No.
and she was downtown and I was at home. I said, meet me at the passport office in an hour. I'm going to drive there right now with your passport. And they're like, and they managed to pull it off. If that happens now to somebody, forget it. You're probably not going. Yeah, you've screwed up. You've messed up. So we booked this 2 or 3 months ahead of time. Of course, we checked right away, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll definitely get it done early, because I'm not going to have that happen again." So she did.
Last words.
So it was like 6 weeks ahead of time that she finally, okay, I'm going to go. So she went, and they're like, "Oh, you need to book a time online.
Oh.
You can't just show up." And she's like, "Okay."
Oh.
So she went online and she filled out a form, and then you have to wait for them to phone you back. And she actually phoned them like 4 days later and said, "Hey, I haven't heard a call back." They're like, "Oh, don't worry, you will get one. You're on the list." So she did eventually get a call, and then they booked her at the passport office like 2 weeks after that.
Great.
So by the time she got
Perfect.
to the passport office, she was like, I don't know, 3 weeks away from vacation, right? Even though we gave her all this extra time, what we thought was an immense amount of time. And and then they gave her hell too at the passport office too. They're like, "You shouldn't wait till the last minute." I was like, I didn't wait till the last minute. I know what waiting till the last minute is, and I determined not to do that. Anyway, long story short, everybody, get your passport renewed very early.
Now, I did sound astounded by all of this, but I should fess up that I did almost the same thing. And I was in Calgary, and my passport was here in Souk. I don't know why.
Oh.
And we were going on a cruise.
Oh.
And my sister and I were leaving from Calgary and meeting my mom coming from Souk. And my mom looked at my passport and said, "Your passport's expired."
Oh.
It wasn't right before, but still. So she had to send it to Calgary for me to fill out. And then, and of course, that was back when you still needed a guarantor. That was a doctor, a lawyer, a dentist. And so I faxed the papers back to her, and of course, none of those people were available.
Oh.
It was a lot of shenanigans,
Mm-hmm.
but I did get it just in time.
Wow. Yeah. And and it happens, right? But
Yes.
right now, forget it, because
Yeah.
they've had, everybody's like, "Oh, we can travel again." And so there was a news story about Vancouver with like 5-hour lineups at passport, and they're telling people like, don't even bother lining up, because we might not be able to do whatever you need. You should just go online. So if you need to get your passport renewed and you've got 2 months to do it, don't wait.
Yes.
Go start the process now. If you go online and you book the appointment, you can show up at the time that they give you. You don't have to wait in line for 5 hours. So
Absolutely. And also, make sure that your passport expires 6 months after your return home date.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's an important one too, that they'll...
Is that just a US thing, or is that everywhere?
I thought it was a Canadian thing.
Oh, I thought it was when you're traveling to the US, but
I thought it was returning to Canada.
We're going to have to find that out. Because
But
returning to Canada, I don't know they'll kick you out. I live here. Come on. But I know that's and it's always like I always thought that was a really strange rule because it's like my passport is 100% valid.
What's
What's
the whole point of the passport.
Yeah, but I think it's probably like an immigration thing. I think it's different countries that you're visiting that have those rules because they want to know that if you overstay, you're not, you still have a valid passport during that period, right?
You're not doing it for unsavory reasons.
Well, because I think legally you can go to the United States for what is it, 6 months or 3 months or something without having to declare yourself as a resident or whatever. So
Interesting. Yeah.
It's a very long period of time that you're not considered an illegal immigrant. If you stay under that period of time.
Right.
And then you have to go home for a certain amount of time. This is how ask anybody over 70 that goes to Florida every year. They'll tell you, they know exactly what the snowbirds, if that's even a thing anymore.
6 months then.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. And anyway, so I think that's why they have that rule, because they don't want you, they don't want you with an expired passport in their country. Yeah. But I'm not going for 6 months. I'm going for 6 days. So why?
So does everybody have their passports?
No. So I have my passport, because I'm a responsible adult, and my wife is picking hers up tomorrow morning, 4 hours before the flight, 5 hours before the flight. So we'll see how that.
How many hours at the airport? How many hours before your flight?
Just an hour and a half, because it's a domestic flight to Vancouver, and then from Vancouver.
Okay.
LA. Yeah, but what's interesting is all the things you can't do until you have your passport. So we haven't been able to register for our flights, so we probably won't be sitting next to each other on the airplane. Because everybody else will have checked in at that point. We can't check in until we have the passport. So we'll probably end up in seats, halfway across the plane and just wave to each other and hope we're not stuck next to, somebody with COVID coughing up a lung or something.
Hope that somebody with COVID is not on your plane at all.
They shouldn't be because of the rules. But anyway, it can happen, right? Because you have to have your test done within 24 hours or 48 hours, but you could still catch it during that period, right? So so then we have to go get the COVID test, so that's scheduled in advance with them. And by the way, I looked more into the whole thing because we talked about this last episode, and for the US travel, the rules, as I understood, and the way I read it, is somehow authenticated. So there's services where you can do a COVID test online with a camera.
Yes.
And then the person on the other end will authenticate that it was a real COVID test.
Yes.
And so is that what you guys are planning to do?
Be doing.
Yeah. Did you find a service to do that?
Putting up our own noses, which sounds awful.
We did a test a couple of days ago. Yesterday or the day before. Everybody in the house.
Oh, wow.
Because we had the rapid tests, even though we're not symptomatic. So it's, it's very likely going to be negative anyway, because those tests aren't super sensitive. But just to be on the safe side, if one of us had COVID, and especially if it wasn't one of the ones of us traveling, we could isolate. And otherwise, if we all had it, we could know, okay, we're probably not going to go and make plans accordingly, right? So we were all negative, which was good news, because it seems like everybody around here is getting COVID these days. It's kind of everywhere. So yeah, don't get it. It's I've heard it's not great. So that's one thing. And then there's the Travel Can app.
Yes.
Where you have to go and you have to fill in all of that detail, just your travel plan. Arrive Can. Sorry, that's the one. So I've done that for myself, but I can't do that for my wife because we don't have a valid passport for her.
Of course.
The cruise check-in.
Okay.
You can check in with a time.
Yes.
and get your boarding time, but you're not completed your check-in until you have your passport information.
Interesting.
So thankfully that they did allow us to do that, because there's 3 steps to it, and I thought you had to do them in order. And step number 2 was where it asked for the passport. Step number three was your boarding time. So it turns out you can do step number 3.
Oh, okay.
Skip over step number 2 if you're waiting.
Yes.
Yeah, and then of course the other one where you don't need a passport number is you have to fill out a form for the U.S. government if you're going into the United States, called an attestation, and it's just all about COVID. So have you been vaccinated? And if not, here's 7 exceptions, and which one do you qualify for?
Yeah, I think we have done that one already.
Yeah, and that's actually, if you've been vaccinated, it takes about 2 minutes to fill it out. If you haven't been vaccinated, you want to take a really close look at that before you go, because it's going to be a lot harder for you. I think there are some exceptions for unvaccinated passengers, like going to funerals and things like that. So anyway, so a lot of paperwork, and we can't do any of it till tomorrow.
On the point of ArriveCan, because that was an interesting one. From my understanding, you, as a Canadian, you didn't have to do it to get on a cruise ship in Canada, going to another country, on the one website, and then on another one it was saying you should and you do need to. So I did a lot of searching through very different wording on Google, trying and checking the websites, trying to find an actual answer. It seems from the Canadian government website that even Canadian travelers getting on a cruise ship in Canada who are not flying anywhere do need to do ArriveCan.
Because you're leaving the country and then coming back.
Yes.
And so when you come back, even on the ship, you're actually still arriving in Canada.
Yes. Yeah. So you have to do it to get on board, but then also when you're about to get off, you need to do ArriveCan as well.
Yeah. And that one is I'm less worried about that, because they take there's processing and stuff that they do, but we'll be submitting it a week before we arrive in Canada. So we'll get it done, but we're definitely it's just another thing on the list. So we've got a big list. Like the second we get the passport, we got like 6 things we have to do. So we can't even register, do the pre-enrollment for the COVID certification, because they put your passport number on their form saying, hey, this person with this passport number has taken the test. And of course we don't have that passport number, so we can't even do the advanced enrollment for the COVID test. So so long story short, everybody, if you're traveling and I gotta say this, if you traveled in 2019 and you think this is easy like it was then, maybe it wasn't that easy back then, but everything got way more. This is the other one. Everything got way more complicated, right? So the other thing you have to worry about is what the individual rules are for individual counties, states, and cities that you're going to in the United States. And so I believe it is the Los Angeles County that has another form that you have to fill out online, saying, hey, I'm coming during these dates, and I can't remember what else, but basically, anyway, it's all COVID stuff, right? But so San Francisco was another place we're stopping on the cruise. Doesn't have that, but they have a whole bunch of rules, and you have to know what those rules are, right? There's certain rules still in different cities have different rules about might be things about masks, might be things about vaccines. So you have to be kind of aware of that. But anyway, I'm feeling pretty good about it. The getting out is good, and we're taking a Canadian. This is the other thing that changed yesterday was the airlines in the US. Did you hear about? This is the day before yesterday. There was a court ruling in America and America's weird this way because some lower court person can just sort of strike down national laws and rules just like arbitrarily, and then there is a process whereby if that's deemed to be, you know, a terrible thing, that they could delay that ruling and have time to challenge it. But in this case, this person, this judge struck down all of the regulations on masking on public transit and flights and a bunch of other things, saying that the government can no longer require that.
Right.
Individual organizations and companies could, but the government can't. And so when that happened, a lot of the airlines just said, oh, okay, well, you know, this is the ruling. We're going to just follow the new ruling and take your masks off. And it was a bit of a gong show, honestly.
I bet.
There was several flights that were like mid-air where where the captain came on and said, hey, you don't have to wear your masks anymore.
Oh, wow.
And you're literally mid-flight. And I was thinking somebody like yourself, you're sitting on a flight and where the expectation was that everybody would have a mask on. And suddenly a bunch of people
be
don't.
Very uncomfortable with that.
Huge, right? And this is the thing. And of course you go on Twitter and it's just toxic sludge of Twitter, and you know, people like, you know, it's the pandemic's over, just relax or stay home. And it's like, well, yeah, but what about the person that is immunocompromised, did their risk assessment and said, well, it is okay for me to fly, knowing that everybody's going to be wearing masks,
have their mask on,
right?
and everybody's going to be vaccinated.
Well, and that was already gone, I think, for domestic flights in the US. So anyway, so kind of, I would say kind of bad move on behalf of, the, at the very least, let people finish, like do it the next day or something, right? Let people finish their flight circuit, right? And make appropriate plans. I also frankly think that people that had made plans based on that knowledge should have the option of getting a refund if that's no longer viable. Because there's going to be people that are going to be like, yeah, you know what, if I was masked and everybody else was masked, then this would be a safe thing for me to do, but it's no longer safe, so we're going to drive instead, right?
Absolutely.
And for people in that situation, obviously getting a refund, I think, would be reasonable, but
I agree.
Who knows if that'll happen, because airlines don't like to give you your money back. And of course, you know, there's a counter argument to that to say, well, you know, everybody's been saying, you know, the situations can change and the rules can change, so be aware of that. And you know, and if you weren't comfortable, maybe you should have got that cancellation insurance. And you know, and presumably that would kick in. We all
didn't expect this to last forever. So I know. Anyway. I would definitely feel uncomfortable though if everybody just suddenly took off their mask.
That would be awkward. And of course, you know, the worst things you hear is like, you know, people harassing other people that chose to keep their mask on, right? It's like, I'm sorry, you just don't know that person's story, right?
Absolutely.
And we saw things like this on Twitter where people were like circling the people with the masks on and saying, oh, what's wrong with this guy, right? And it's like, maybe that guy is going to his cancer treatment, right?
Exactly.
Like, you don't know his story, so don't be a jerk about it, right?
I was called out last summer when I was wearing my mask still and nobody else was. And you know, I held back, but I did have a lot of things to say. So it's hard, you know, everybody's got their own choices and situations, and you can't go around judging people like that.
I think you know, I mean, part of everyone's like, well, we have to learn to live with it. Well, some people, their form of learning to live with it is going to be different than other people's form of learning to live with it. Yes, of course, we have to learn to live with COVID, but I would like to live with COVID, not die with COVID. And so, my approach is going to be a little bit different than your approach, and it's going to be a little bit different than other people, right? So,
Of course.
if we can all begin with the idea of respect, well, that would be nice, right? Anyway, so yeah, that changed, but it hasn't affected the Canadian Airlines yet.
Right.
Although I'm kind of curious about that because, we're flying from Vancouver to Los Angeles on Air Canada or WestJet or Air Canada. I can't remember whichever one it was that was giving us trouble for not getting our refund. I'll narrow it down to two. I can't remember which one it was, but I think they probably both had the same policy.
Flying with a Canadian airline, then I imagine that masks would be worn.
Well, they'd have to be worn when you got on the plane, and they'd have to be worn when you're in Canadian airspace.
Yes.
But when you cross over into US airspace, does that rule evaporate? Like COVID's not as bad when
I don't know.
You got the same air.
I guess you're going to find out.
You pack all the air.
The smoking section.
COVID's just less harmful to people in the United States than in Canada, didn't you know?
I mean, clearly.
Yeah. I love the comparison. I tweeted out something along the lines of, "Hey, I heard we can smoke on airplanes now," because it's kind of, I'm being a little tongue in cheek, but it's kind of like that because you're basically forced in the confined area to breathe in other people's air. And that's always been the case, but at some point somebody said, well, you're forced to breathe somebody else's air, but maybe we should try to keep that air cleaner, right? So, and one of the things the airlines say, and in their defense, it's true, they do have very good filtration systems on modern aircraft.
Right.
And they do filter things like viruses with the HEPA and all the fancy filters. So, so there's definitely more dangerous places you can be, but they also cramp you into a pretty small space. And so, just because the air filtration is good doesn't mean that the guy sneezing next to you isn't going to be a problem, right? And that's the part that that I think personally, people should wear masks. Definitely people that are sick should wear masks or not fly.
Maybe both though.
But there's going to be people that have a cold and they're sitting there, with their cold, and they were allowed to get on the plane because their check came back. I don't want to be sitting there. I don't want to be sitting next to that person whether they have COVID or not. Like, I just don't want to get whatever you have. Like, and it's funny because in 2019 nobody really stood up and said this, but I would say this in 2022. Like, if I get a cold or a flu or something and I have to go somewhere, I'm going to probably just wear a mask now. Like, it's become socially acceptable in our culture now, whereas that wasn't a thing, right?
It was not. You would just sit on the bus next to somebody with a disgusting cold. Yeah. And unfortunately, I've been that person on the bus with a disgusting cold. And no mask, because
that was weird.
I did not own a mask until 2019 or 2020. I mean,
yeah, it's so weird when you think about it. Hey,
so weird.
It's like there's definitely been a cultural shift, and I think that's actually overall that's probably a good thing. In Asia, as we all know, you could in 2019 or 2017 or 2015, if you got a cold and you needed to go somewhere on public transit, you would often wear a mask. And it wasn't for you, it was for the courtesy of the people around you, right? So
of course.
I think that's a good thing. I think we should all do that. But anyway, and it all became politics and politicized, and it is what it is.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's so we're heading off to our Pacific Coastal. I'm not going to talk more about that other than all the fun stuff leading up to it, but next episode I'm going to tell everybody all about it. So
next episode we'll actually both be back because I think our trips overlap.
Oh, you're right. We can,
unless there's like one day in between.
Maybe we should do an extra long episode and split it into two or something.
Do you think the people want an extra long?
I don't know. All of our people? What do you think? Leave a comment below. Do you want an extra long episode? I think
Or do you want us to split it up into 3 episodes?
I think we should maybe we should go with themes like ships and excursions,
Food,
food, music, yeah,
shows,
cabins. Are you guys have a balcony or no?
We have it inside.
Do you? Did you? I told you the story last episode, right? We booked the inside cabin.
Yeah.
And they gave us a free upgrade to a balcony.
I will take a free upgrade any day of the week.
I bet you that Alaska's just filling up, right? So there's going to be more people on your ship than there will be on mine. Mine's Pacific Coastal. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 30% capacity, honestly, which would be great. More hot tub time for me. So
right.
You'll find
I was talking to my niece and nephew the other day about they went on a cruise in 2019, and I was not invited.
No.
But they were saying that you got to make sure you get into the pool early before all the crumbs fall in. And I was like, I'm sorry, the crumbs? And they were like, yeah, all the people bring their drinks into the pool and they've got olives and things and they just drop them in the pool.
Wow. What kind of cruise did they go on?
I am not certain, but it did not sound great.
No. Was it
crumbs in the pool? Although,
was it a different cruise line that they went on than you went on?
I cannot remember off the top of my head, but
you definitely see people with drinks and they're not. I don't think they're supposed to, but I don't think they care. But you see people with drinks in the hot tubs and next to the pool and stuff. Yeah, no problem. The actually hot tubs, I think they don't care. In fact,
really?
In fact, I'm pretty sure I ordered a drink from a hot tub before.
Don't drop your olives into the hot tub. Okay?
There was no olive. I had some like girly drink, and I really badly wanted an umbrella. And I said, I would like an umbrella in my.
They're like $1 at the dollar store. Right?
They said, oh well, we'll see if we have any. And they came back. They're like, yeah, we don't have any umbrellas. I'm really sorry. I'm like, take it back. I didn't say that. I did. I said that, but I was joking. I took it anyway.
Did you complain to the concierge?
I did not. I was sad, but I kept it. I internalized the sadness and got on with my day. I carry it with me to this day. I think it's going to start bringing my own. Actually, funny enough, Catherine, my wife, went and bought me some little drink umbrellas when we got back, and she's like, next time you can bring your own. Yeah. I'm like, I know we were in the dollar store. That's what it was. We were in the dollar store. She pointed them out. She was like, hey, you could get those for the next. I'm like, I don't really actually need that. Or do I? No, I don't. I didn't buy them. So no umbrellas. And I don't drink anymore anyway. So I'd be getting a virgin whatever. And I guess, if you're going to get a virgin whatever, you should probably have an umbrella to make up for the lack of alcohol, right? So
you know what I like? I like the little plastic animals.
Mm-hmm. Little fun ones.
Get them in the Bellinis all the time. And the little plastic, those were a lot of fun.
When we were kids, it was the plastic swords. The sword, and they put the fruit on it.
Berry in it.
Yes. That's what I'm going to get. That's what I'm going to get. My big drink is going to be a Shirley Temple. Or I don't know. Is that even a thing in the US? I don't even know.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it is.
Is it? Yeah. Maybe I'll get what do they call Bellini? Is Bellini?
I don't think you can get a Bellini without alcohol. It's like 3 degrees of alcohol.
Oh, okay. I get a virgin margarita, which is basically a slushy.
Lime juice.
Juice.
A lime slushy.
Can I just get a lime slushy, please? You know what? Just bring me.
Get a rum and coke without the rum.
Just bring me a glass of water with an umbrella.
I'm excited about mocktails.
Are you? You are big on this stuff, yeah.
I am.
I know you know your booze and you know your cocktails and the mocktail experience. So.
It's how I cannot drink anymore, which is a recent thing, but
well, I think a regular segment of Cruise Nerds should be mocktail of the month.
I'm going to take a picture of every single one that I get on board.
Do it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to tell us which one is your favorite. Did you get a drink package so you could get all the mocktails?
We did because my partner is a big drinker.
Okay.
And so because we're in the same room, we have to.
both
So now my plan is just to drink fancy coffees all day long, which is a terrible idea because I drink 1 coffee a day.
Right.
Fancy coffees and soda, which also I have like 1 a day. Not even.
Yeah.
I don't drink soda every day.
But will they do mocktails as part of your drink package?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So
that'd be fun.
I feel like I'm drinking.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah. It doesn't, and there's no calories because you're on vacation.
That is right.
That's great.
I decided after my cruise, I'm going to cut out cheese for a while, but in the meantime, I'm going to eat all of the cheese.
I went on one cruise like that, and I was so excited because I'm like, cruises have cheese and like exotic cheeses from different countries. But it was, the buffet had 2 types of cheese, and I'm pretty sure they were just a different color of the same cheese.
No.
And
best, like, nice cheeses. I remember that from my very first cruise.
This was a little bit lower end that we went on, but we did have during dinner, there would be like the cheese plate appetizer. So
yes,
and I
the
think they had
appetizer or dessert. You get the option.
Yeah,
sign me up.
Yeah, I did that a couple of times. No, this wasn't like a high end cruise, but it was still decent. It was still a decent thing. They'd have like 4 or 5
and dessert.
Yeah,
and then take my cheese plate to bed. And eat my cheese in bed.
I am planning on not eating very many desserts. I'm planning on
Why?
Well, because I shouldn't, and I'm not actually really that big of a dessert. I'm not like a sweet tooth person. Right. I'm more of a savory than a sweet tooth.
Me, I am as well, but I do love a good dessert.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll probably have a bite of whatever Catherine is having, and otherwise I'll order the cheese plate or the fruit plate or something like that.
Get 2 and take 1 to bed.
Exactly. And the extra shrimp cocktail to go. Anyway, well, have a fantastic time.
You too.
I'm super excited. And
make sure Catherine gets her passport.
If I'll let you know.
I did sign it for her.
Did you? Okay. If we don't go, then that'll be why. And unlike the Disneyland thing where I said, if you don't get your passport, we're going without you.
Right. You're not going to go without her?
I wasn't gonna have my son be disappointed. I was just gonna go without her. But thankfully in the end she was able to go. But now this is just for the 2 of us. So I'm not gonna go by myself if
why not?
It doesn't work out. I don't know. Just not as much fun. So I actually like her company. So
that's nice.
Yeah, she's a nice lady.
She's a fun gal.
Yeah. Unlike some relationships where it's like, hey, I could get away from my spouse for a week. That'd be awesome. I'm less enthusiastic about that. So yeah.
Fair.
Anyway, good to see you. And
yes, you too.
Take good care of yourself. Have a fun time.
I will. You as well.
And we'll
take lots of photos and videos and get ready to share them.
Yeah, you too. And feel free if you'd like to share all of it on the Instagram, our Instagram
I will.
Stuff too. Yeah, because there's and then just say, hey, this is Sarah. And people will be like, oh my God, I've been waiting for photos because I watched that 1.5 hour long video they made. Oh, by the way, if people are seeing this on YouTube, we're on all the podcast channels now. So you can get us on iTunes and you can get us on, well, not all of them. We're on most of them. Get us on iTunes and you can get us on Google Podcasts. You can get us on Stitcher. You can get us on TuneIn. You can get us on, I don't know, all those Apple. Did I say Apple? And we're adding more. We're not on Spotify yet, and we're not on Amazon yet.
We're working on it.
Yeah. I think that they have rules about the number of episodes you have to have and all that. So we will eventually
pay the right people and get on those platforms too. Maybe. But yeah,
Maybe.
check us out. We're Cruise Space Nerds. Not Cruise Space Nerds, just Cruise with the space. And then Nerds. Although a space cruise would be awesome, but that's more in the future.
But you don't get to go outside and see the...
You get to go to space. Come on. Go to the moon base.
Start talking to Elon because he knows how to do it.
You know, all right, we'll stick with Earth cruises for now, but it's on the bucket list. I want to go on a Mars space cruise one day.
All right, you keep hoping.
Did you see Fifth Element? It looked pretty cool. Got to be
Yeah.
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 Classic. All right. Have a good rest of the day. And
Have fun.
yeah, we'll talk to you very soon.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Woohoo!